Welcome. This is a lecture series. Please have paper and pencils ready to take notes. The better your notes, the more help they will be later in your research projects. Let's get started. Today we're going to look at the Oklahoma Academic Standard 8.6.R.2. This is for 8th grade, Standard 6, Reading Point 2. Standard 6 is about research. And in this particular standard, it reads, students will follow ethical and legal guidelines for finding and recording information from a variety of primary and secondary sources, for example, print and digital. Let's break down the vocabulary in this standard to find out what they're asking from us. Please pause the video and write down what this standard is about. So what is ethical and legal? Let's define that. That is the rules for distinguishing between what is right and what is wrong. What is legal is acceptable by law. We want to make sure that our research is ethical and legal always. Please pause the video and write down the definition of ethical and legal. Let's look at primary sources. What is a primary source? A primary source is defined as something that is direct or first-hand evidence. What are some examples of primary sources? You might have a primary source such as a historical or legal document. How about a speech? It could even be the results of an experiment. So our primary source is direct or first-hand evidence. Think of it this way. Let's say you went to the grocery store. And while you were at the grocery store, your little brother or sister knocked over a glass of pickles off the shelf. So if somebody came to you and asked you what happened, you were the eyewitness. You saw what happened. You were standing right there. If you were the only person on the aisle along with your little brother or sister, the two of you would know exactly what's going to happen. Could the video recording of what happened be used as a primary source? Yes, it could, because it recorded the actual events. So that is the primary source. It is first-hand evidence or direct evidence of what has occurred or what has been written. Now, what's a secondary source? A secondary source is describing, discussing, commenting on, evaluating, or summarizing the primary source. Let's go back to the example of you and your little brother or sister at the grocery store knocking over the jar of pickles. Let's say your parent was 3 aisles away and the manager approached your parent and said, "What happened?" And your parent could relate your story. Did your parents see what happened? No, they didn't. They were 3 aisles away. But they can relate what you said, but that's secondary. They're only commenting upon what you said and what you saw. In this example here, we have articles in newspapers, magazines, some book and movie reviews, and many other things. So say somebody goes to see a movie, they can comment upon the movie and they can give you an opinion about what they thought about happened in the movie. Did they think it was a good movie? How did they feel about the movie? But that's a secondary source because they're commenting on the movie. So that is a secondary source. Please pause the video and write down what a secondary source is. Let's talk about recording your information. Whenever we start doing a research paper, sometimes we get pretty excited because we'll find a lot of information. And then sometimes we may not find very much information at all. It is extremely important that we record where and when we find information. Even in internet sites. You may think, I found it on the internet, it's always going to be there, but that's not always the case. Many educational sites will move or take away educational pages. Internet sites can be cited, and they're very important to have those citations. I'm not going to spend a lot of time today on how to do citations, but you can find many programs on the internet that are free citation machines. Go to those citation machines, input the information, it's very explicit in exactly what you need to type, and choose the MLA style. Most writing that we do today in school is for the MLA style. Choose the MLA style and hit Cite. I highly encourage you to save your citations on a document that you can access from anywhere. I encourage students today to use sites such as a cloud. It will help you to be able to access your information from any internet source that you are at. So in looking back at our standard today, it is asking students to follow ethical and legal guidelines for finding and recording information from a variety of primary and secondary sources. For example, print and digital. Print being like at the library and digital being on the internet. Now that you have learned some of these things, please practice these skills whenever you are writing a research paper. And then you're going to take an assessment. An assessment in this case is not probably going to be a test, it's probably going to be the research paper itself. Thank you for joining me today. Look forward to seeing you on the next lecture.